Hello everyone, I'm here today to discuss on Dream Threads, to discuss the similarity between the Sumerian goddess Inanna and her descent to the underworld and female musicians and their transition to womanhood today. I will be reading notes that I have taken on this subject, and also the screen will switch for me to AI generated pictures that I have created to describe the scenarios. So here we go. Thank you for joining me on my first video recorded episode of Dream Threads. I am your host, Megan, and in today's episode, I will explore the intriguing similarities between female musicians' transition into womanhood and the ancient Mesopotamian goddess Inanna's descent into the underworld. I want to clarify that I will not be using real names or citing specific situations to avoid any potential legal issues. So I'll be using AI-generated images of fictional characters to illustrate my points. However, I think you will recognize the essence of what I am discussing. Today, I will also narrate a brief story of Inanna's descent to the underworld, her death, and her eventual resurrection. To set the stage, I've chosen imagery that is less provocative. Instead, I want to highlight how a woman can display her growth and femininity in a way that is mysterious and alluring, because often leaving something to the imagination is far more enticing than revealing everything. Just as the beautiful femme fatales of the past wore elegant clothing that draped gracefully over their bodies, we can embrace that power today. Now let's talk about the evolution of young pop stars. Typically, these stars begin their careers dressed in jeans, hoodies, oversized sweaters, and sneakers, epitomizing innocence and perfection. Many of their early songs are sweet and inspirational, often about puppy love. However, once they turn 18, there is often a significant transformation. They shed their childhood attire, often cutting their hair, embracing bolder looks, and adopting crass, provocative performances that seem to declare their former selves dead. In their new personas, they often speak of exploring their powerful femininity. While I won't speculate on the motivations behind these changes, it's fascinating to draw parallels to Inanna's story. Now let me share the myth of Inanna's descent to the underworld. This ancient Sumerian tale narrates Inanna's journey to overthrow her sister Ereshkigal, the queen of the dead. During her descent through 7 gates, Inanna is forced to shed all of her clothing and symbols of power at each gate, which ultimately leads to her demise. Her lifeless body is left hanging on a nail. Thankfully, the god Enki intervenes, restoring Inanna to life. However, on her journey back, Inanna must deliver another living being as payment for her freedom. Choosing her spouse, Dumuzi, I guess. I don't know how to say that. Who is then taken to the underworld in her place. Now, just to explain why she chose her spouse, it was because instead of mourning her death, and while she was in the underworld, he was having affairs and sleeping around and acting like, oh yay, my wife is dead, I get to, you know, go play around now instead of mourning her death. So yep. She was not too happy about that, so he got to take her place in the underworld. So what's the connection between Inanna's tale and the journey of modern female musicians? Inanna had to strip away her clothing and weapons, making her vulnerable. Much like the musicians may shed their past personas in a battle with their shadow selves and higher consciousness. Sometimes, when we are overwhelmed by our shadows, we all need a little help to rise again. Just as Enki helped Inanna return to life, the transitions into womanhood can be filled with challenges, societal pressures, and personal growth, much like Inanna's passage through the underworld. When these women display their femininity in bold, sometimes shocking ways, could it reflect a struggle with their own identities? Are we witnessing a battle with their inner selves, hoping to emerge triumphant rather than becoming mere pawns to the music industry? Honestly, if you think about it, the themes in their music, self-discovery, vulnerability, and empowerment, these artists sometimes portray their growth through their lyrics and melodies. Much like Inanna expresses herself through her journey through myth. They peel back layers to reveal their true selves, often confronting the darker aspects of their experience, similar to Inanna's own trials. I've curated a selection of visuals for this episode that highlight growth and transformation, showing how women can portray their strength and mystique without resorting to cliches. Just as Inanna sheds her layers, female musicians can often strip away societal expectations to reveal their true artistry. Now, let's explore some classy alternatives to showcase femininity. If you want to embrace styles like corsets and garters, the steampunk aesthetic offers elegant options that are both stylish and modest. We can also look back to the graceful styles of the 1950s and 1930s that flatter the female form while maintaining an air of mystery and elegance. As we reflect on these connections, I encourage you to think about your own stories of transformation. How do you relate to the journeys of Inanna or your favorite female musicians? Their tales remind us that the path of self-discovery isn't always linear, but it's paved with resilience and grace. I found inspiration for this from a YouTube video by another content creator, which sparked my thoughts on this topic. I hope you found our discussion of fashion choices and the connections between these two narratives enjoyable and insightful. As always, stay fashionable and classy. Thank you for joining me today. If you haven't hit the subscribe button yet, please do, and so that you can receive more notifications on future videos. And please like and leave a review and share with your friends. That's always nice. And until next time, Remember, we're all on this journey together. Let's embrace our power. This is your host, Megan, signing off.